PROC tabulate. It's a procedure which helps to present descriptive statistics in a tabular format professionally. In short, we can say when you create a pivot table in Excel and when you add the advancements into that particular pivot, all those sort of stuff you can do in SAS using PROC tabulate. Alright, so here is a simplest form of PROC tabulate syntax. All that you need to do is just type PROC tabulate, provide the data clause and put your table name over here. In this class parameter, we will supply all that variables basis on which we want to create the categorizations. For example, in case of the pivot table, whatever variables you put in row and column section, that you can put over here. In the var statement, you need to put all those numeric variables on which you want to perform the mathematical operations. Because, for example, you want to check the total transaction amount, or how much is the total height, what is the total score, etc. All those numeric variables you can supply over here. In tables, you can say what sort of mathematical operation you want to perform. For example, you want to do sum, you want to take count, mean, or whatever you want to do, you can just put it over here. You can also, this is the place where you specify how you want to format your table, right? So in short, we can say class parameter accepts all the character variable, var parameter accepts all the numeric variables, and tables parameter is place where you perform your all the operations. Whatever mathematical thing you want to perform, you can do it over here. Let's take an example. Here is a sample data set, and for example, you want to summarize it using these two columns, which is origin and MSRP, and you want to summarize it something like this. In short, you want to see the total MSRP by each of the origin. How can you start that? So it's simple. The syntax which we just saw, that's same thing which we're gonna use over here, right? And basis on that, we're gonna create our own syntax, I mean with the original data, right? This is the complete syntax. So in place of table name, we are using SAS help.cars, which is our data set, and in class we are using a character variable which is coming from here origin, and then in the var statement we are using this numeric variable which is MSRP, and then in tables we are saying put origin at the row label, then create a grand total, and then MSRP you put it at column segment, and this is some sort of formatting which we have done. So starting with this simple example, we will learn in this tutorial how to create a table which could be some advanced to some extent, something like this, right? How can we create all those kind of stuff in PROC tabulate? So let's jump to the SAS and let's try to start creating these tables. Okay, so here I am in SAS, and here is the cars data set. I'll just take a sample of it so that I could show it to you and I could keep it for reference. Let me see what's the problem here. I am keeping only some specific variables. I'll keep all the variables now and then just take a print of it, and let me just take a snapshot of it, okay, so that we will keep this for reference. Whenever required, we will just use this. All right, so we're gonna keep on referring this particular screenshot for the variable name, nothing else. Okay, so now over here, let's start by creating a simple summary, right? For example, let's check by each of the origin how many cars do we have. Let's start with the simple. So for example, we're gonna say PROC tabulate data equals to SAS help dot cars, and then in class, like I said, class, here you can put all the character variables, whatever you want to use in your summarization, right? So even if you put all the character variables and you don't want to utilize that in your summarization, that's going to be fine, right? Right, origin for example, and you want to use, let's say I keep both of these two variables, but I will be using only origin on, right? in the var statement, okay, for example, I'm not going to use var statement. Let me take it through simple, okay. And in tables, I will just say origin. Let's see what sort of summary is it going to create, right? And then let's run this particular thing. Here it is. Woo! So here you see it is showing you the count by each of the origin. But now you just say that this origin name at column level it's not looking pretty good. I want to see it at row level. How can you do that? Nothing much. You just, all that you know to do is just put a comma over here. Let's see if this works. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Oops, that's not gonna work. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna use another variable along with this. Let's say I want to see by each origin and by each type the count is. What is the count? Okay, so here we go. Now here you can see that at left hand side, that is on row level, you see the origin, and on column level you see the type. So how can we summarize that? In tables we use a comma, right? Let me just put it this way. Simple, put comma over here, and in whatever table you want to create in the result, whatever thing you want to see at the row level, just put that at the left side of comma, and whatever you want to see at column level, put that at right side. So here, let's say for example, we want to see type at the row level and origin at the column level, right? So that's what we're gonna run over here, and you see this is how it is looking. Wow, isn't it wow? Okay, cool. Now let's say I don't want to see it in form of rows and columns. What I want to see is in stacked format. I just want to see it in the stacked format and in column itself. Okay, so for that you're just gonna use asterisk. Asterisk is used to stack, be it on row level or be it in column level. So like you can see, you have nothing at the row level, all that you have is on column level. Okay, so first you have type and then you have origin. Okay, is this looking too hazy? Let me just change it, switch this thing, and what I gonna do is I'll just take first origin and then the type. Okay, now let's run this. Here you go. So for Asia, all the types, Europe, all the types, and USA for all the type. Okay, but I'll be using only comma over here. Okay, so that in our presentation it will be beautiful to see. Okay, origin, and let me just run this again. Okay, so now this is showing the count by each type and in each of the city. For example, if you take 10, then how you're gonna read this? You're gonna read this in Europe, SUV type is 10 units. Unit of SUV is 10. This is how you're gonna read it. Now this is giving you the detailed information. What if you want to see the total at the bottom? That's the very interesting feature of this particular procedure. Okay, so for that, what you're gonna do is you want to see total at row level. So you remember I said whatever you want to see at row level, you just need to put that at left side of comma. So here I'm gonna say all. If you say all, then it's gonna show you the total at bottom. If you see here, now all is, if all is something which is confusing you, you can just rename it. How can you rename it? I will just say to all, I want to say it grand total. All right, now let me run this. Yeah, here we go. Now at the bottom you can see the total of everything. Okay, I understood what you want. Now you want to see the total at column level as well, is it? So let me show it to you. Okay, so same thing you're gonna do over here. All equals to grand total. So all that you need to keep in mind is where can you put the rows value and where can you put the columns values. Now if you see over here, you have the grand total at both of the side. All right, this is isn't it so fantastic? Yeah, I heard you are saying it's really fantastic, right? So now this is how you can summarize the table. Further, this was the count part only. What if you want to take a sum, but you I mean, how can you get a sum of a categorical variable? So in that case, I heard you are saying that I want to see the total of MSRP by each type and by each origin. How can we do that? For that, don't worry, we have one statement which is called var, and over here you can put all those numeric variables which you want to use in your tell me that, in your summary. Okay, this is on which you want to. So if you just put the numerical variable over here and you don't say that what sort of mathematical operation you want to perform on that, by default it's gonna do sum. No, it's not doing the sum. Okay, why? Because over here we didn't provide that. It's as simple as that. So what we're gonna do is we just say MSRP over here, and let's run this. Ooh, now you see, by each origin and by each type you're gonna have sum of MSRP. So this is how you can use the numeric variable in your statement. All right, now do you know what I heard you are saying that, look, it's really fantastic that you showed me the sum. I also want to see the average and the count and everything, right? So all those statistical options which you can use over here, whatever statistical option you want to use, you can just put that into the parenthesis, numeric variable asterisk, and in the parenthesis you can put all those numeric all those mathematical operations which you want, mathematic or statistical operations which you want to perform. You just put it over here and just execute this. Here we go. Now here you have count, sum, mean, average, etc. everything you have over here. Now as per the SAS documentation, these all are the statistical operations which you can use in the PROC tabulate. This is the descriptive statistical options, and these are the quantile statistical operations. All of this you can use in PROC tabulate. I highly encourage you to go ahead and try all of this one by one, and if you face any difficulties, just put that into the comments. Now this was the summary which we just saw. This was the design which we saw, right? Now I will show you another design. Okay, so let's use 3 categorical variables. Okay, what all are the other categories which we can use, right? Let's group 2 variables at row level and 1 variable at column level. Let's try that. Okay, so for example, let's take the list of variables. What are the variables that we have? Again, I'll have to take a screenshot of it. Snipping. Okay, so from here we are already using type and origin. Now we will use drivetrain. Okay, let's try to use this drivetrain also. All right, so what we're gonna do is I will use origin. I'm going to use first variable at the row label, then type, and over here what I'm gonna do is I will use this drivetrain variable. Okay, so at the row level we are using 2 variables, but because we want to stick them, I mean one after the another. Okay, so for that we're going to use asterisk at row level. So this will group these 2 variables together. Let's run this and see it through the example. Okay, it just thrown an error. Just drive train is unknown. It says this particular variable does not exist. Is it? drivetrain. What is the variable name? drivetrain. It's the same variable name, isn't it? Let me just see that. Let me just copy it from here and come back over here and over here. Let me just paste this, and then what I do is I'll just execute this. Oops, this seems to be in. Like you remember in the very beginning I said whatever categorical variables you want to use, first it is important that you mention that in the class parameter. Okay, class statement. So now I just mentioned it, and now here we got that summary. Ooh, here we got that summary. All right, can you see this? Now by origin, for each origin we have all the types, and for each of the type here we see the sum of MSRP, right? MSRP. These three statistics we are seeing: count, sum, and mean. All of these three things we can see over here, right? So this is how you can utilize this. Now we also want to see all. Let's see that grand total, I mean grand total, and let's see that how is that going to behave. I don't know actually, right? So let me just show it to you. Yeah, here you see that grand total. This is the total of count, then sum, grand total of sum, then grand total of mean, etc, etc, etc. Okay, so this is how you can use grand total at this level. All right, now this here in numeric variable we use only MSRP. What if we want to use more than one variable? For example, we want to use invoice as well, invoice variable as well. So how can we use that? Let's put it over here and try to see what happens. Ooh, this is going to give you an error. Oh, it just worked. It just worked, but it is creating two segment, all right, which you might not like. If you like it, then it is okay, it's absolutely fine, no worries, right? But if you don't like it, I personally don't like it, so let me just change it little bit. Okay, now again I'm going to show you another error. How can you see that? Look, this just gave you the error. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'll just put this into over here. Okay, and let's run this. Now over here I don't need to put this thing. Okay, I'll just do this and let's see how does it looks. Ooh, this is how it is looking. Do you see this? Not sure if you liked it, but if you liked it, this is really interesting one. Okay, you see this for all the drivetrain, all front and rear, and for that MSRP, count, sum, and mean of MSRP. Then same goes for invoices, etc, 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 right? So this is how you can categorize that. Now I can hear you are saying that what if I just want to perform sum at MSRP and mean at invoices? So how can you do that? Okay, so for that I have the option, just don't worry about it. Okay, I'll just show it to you. So for that, over here I'm just going to say sum. Okay, all right, not worry, MSRP, and then over here I will just say sum. And for that, if you want, you can rename that. Do you know that? Total, you can just say total. All right, and then you can just use invoice. With invoice, what you can use is, if you want to take count and mean, both of these two things, you can do that as well. Let's run this and let me show you another error. Oh, it didn't give any error. Perfect. This is how you can see for invoice, you can see the count and mean is given, and for MSRP, like you can see, all these things are given. Okay, let me try one more variation. If we can do that, I'll just try it for you. Here you see, oh, it just gave you an error. Let me fix. Okay, so what we can do is, let me just make it first readable well. Okay, so this is how. First I'll just change it like this, and then I will, what I'll do is I'll use drivetrain twice. Okay, and now if you want to rename this and mean, then you can do that as well. Let me do it for you. I can hear you are saying that count, and then to mean you can say average. All right, now let me just run this for you. Oh, bravo. Now you can see it. This is all that you wanted, right? So this is it for this particular thing. All right, now I will just show you. Usually what happens, we are not going to take this particular table to show to our bosses or whomsoever you want. So possibly you want to put it into the Excel. So how can you do that? You can just use ODS, and then you can say Excel, and then file. In the file you just gonna put the location wherever you want to create the Excel file, and then you're gonna say ODS Excel close. And along with this you need to use, here you gotta put the location, because I'm working in SAS on demand, so I have to put the cloud location. I'll just copy this again. I'll just put cloud location over here, and I'll just say sample. Oops, it's typing at both of the places. You see this magic? Over here I'll just say sample.xlsx. that's the file extension. Okay, now before I start with this, there are certain more parameters which you need to specify to keep it beautiful, and those are these options you need to specify. With that, I'll be providing the script on GitHub. You can just simply copy it from there. Okay, so here all that you need to do is just put the option, and here embedded, these all are Excel options, right? Embedded titles equals to yes. Let me make it more readable for you, and then start at 1 and 1. Here I'm saying just start at A1, right? Now let's just run this. It is exported in here, like you can see. And once it is done over there, now what you can do is you can just download it, because we are working in SAS on demand. If you're working on a licensed application, you can simply just execute it. You don't need to do all this stuff, download and all, right? You can simply just execute this command and it will put the data in your given location. Just bear with me couple of seconds and you will have a very well presentation right in front of you. It's just opening. It takes a little bit of time. Well, so just let me show it to you. Okay. Where's that gone? Here, over here. So here that particular table is exported, right? So this is how you can export that, and now you can take it wherever you want. You can just present this. If you want, you can apply all those Excel formattings. So let me tell you a warning. When you try to export this using this kind of syntax, it is not going to happen. It might not happen in one go itself. If you're working in SAS on demand, you might have to try a couple of times, right? Because it's on cloud and it is giving some sort of error, which I've just fixed. Okay, so all that you need to do is just keep on trying. Okay, and then you will be able to just open this. This is it for now. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you just enjoyed it watching, just share it with your friends and hit a thumbs up.